let them, compete for it and see where we're at. They all look good. They've had good summers. They're stronger, bigger, excited to get going, and have done a nice job, while the coaches were gone for a few weeks and leading the program.
Where does it start? I mean, are they all on a level playing field? I mean, how do you look at what they did in the spring? Where do they all start?
Yeah, the way I've always done it is you give each of them an opportunity to jump in there with the number ones. So sometimes it might be like 2 guys day. So if we're doing like a blitz pickup period, you have one quarterback in there with the ones, the other guys split the reps that are left over. Then in the team period, you put somebody else in with the ones. But I think the only way that it's a fair competition is they get to go with the best offensive linemen and the best wide receivers and running backs and tight ends against our best defensive players, and that's how you decide who's able to move the team and who's able to operate the offense the way we want it operated.
Talk about the strengths.
Yeah, I think we have a lot, and it's early on, what we'll do the first 4 practices or the first 4 days, we split the practices. So we'll take our newcomers and practice them separate of the vets, and that gives guys opportunities to get more reps there. Although they're shorter practices and they're a little more intense as far as the amount of reps they have to take, it does provide opportunities. And then once we come together on that 5th practice, obviously the guys that do better are going to get more reps.
For each guy, I mean, one of those things where you let them know that if you mess up one game, you'll be another guy the next game.
No, that's we don't really have a tight leash. You got to let them go out there and do what they do. I think the biggest thing is for myself, Coach McGee, and our offensive coaches, we need to do a great job at teaching the entire offense to them. We went through it already 2 times in the spring, and now we'll do it again in August. And then we need to know what parts of the offense each guy operates the best and mold that around them and let them highlight what their abilities are, what they do real well, and try to hide what they don't do real well.
Let the quarterback do live testimonials on the scrimmage like we did in the spring, or so close to the season. Will that?
It's a great question. That's a great question. I kind of felt like in spring that I'm not sure that we really know enough about Reggie right now. So once he starts running the ball, maybe it's different for him. I always worried about that with Stephon LaFleur. When Stephon was our quarterback, I told our assistant coaches all the time, I'm not sure we're really going to know how good he is until it's live and people have to tackle him. And then look what happened. He either threw a completion or ran the ball for yards and led the country in completion percentage. But it wasn't just because he threw the ball real accurate. It was also the addition of being able to run it. So that's going to be something we have to evaluate ongoing. And you don't want to lose anyone in practice, but you want to find out exactly what's your best way to win a game. Yeah, well, Lamar has the talent. He's an unbelievable athlete. He can throw the ball naturally. So there's not a lot of coaching that you have to do with his release and what he does as far as his upper body and throwing the football. So it's just learning the drops, getting his feet in position, throwing it that way. But he has a strong arm, and we just give him an opportunity and see where he's at. How much he gets in the competition will be up to him, and how he does in those first 4 days, showing us, how quickly he can pick things up and how he can adjust.
Will he be the only quarterback in that first?
Yeah, we're trying to get all that figured out right now. See, one of the things you have to do is work around school, because unfortunately in summer school, you're in summer school up until I think Wednesday. So we have to deal with 4 days of practice around summer school. So you don't really get the 2 days and all that like you used to do. you have to deal with it. So if we're able to get another quarterback to work with them, I would like to have 2 guys go with the newcomers just to get more opportunities for the receivers catching the ball, more plays to run.
Is Quick I think, be your biggest target this year? Do you expect him to be your main big threat receiver, or who do you look for that?
It's a great question too. James had a very good spring, and he's shown that he's a very hard worker. He likes that role. I think he's cherished the fact that he's going to be the first guy in line all the time. Every drill that we do, anything that we do, he finishes hard. He's shown leadership. He's been very productive in the spring. Caught the ball better than he has. But we've got to develop other guys. I like the group overall when you line them up and you look at them and run, but we got a lot to learn. We got some talented freshmen that want to fight their way into getting reps, and we've got some guys that played well in spring that we have to find out who the depth really is.
What did you maybe not show you? I mean, if you watch the spring game like we did, he looked like he played great.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
What did he not show that you didn't just want to say he's our guy?
Yeah, I just want there to be competition. He didn't. It wasn't a case where he didn't show me something. I thought he played real well in spring, executed really well in the spring game, but he needs to come and compete, go to the meeting room, do a great job in the meeting room, answer the questions. I want him to be able to answer the question before Will does, or Will try to answer it before Kyle does, and there be pressure on them to practice real well and compete for the job and outwork the other guy. I think that will make them all better.
Can you kind of go through the four and just say what is kind of the case, or what you like about each of those guys? 5 against Lamar. You mentioned Lamar already.
Yeah, Will is coming off an injury. I felt like he was really picking the offense up before he got injured. When you looked how we were playing at the North Carolina State game and the first half to Boston College, he was on top of it and seemed like he was really getting it, and was accurate throwing the ball, distributing it real well. But it's his 3rd injury, so you're always worried about how he's going to do coming off that. And we might not know for a couple of weeks. We might not know how he reacts after he's practiced 5 days in a row. How it goes. So that's a concern. Reggie, I think, has shown his maturity, his competitive spirit. I'm very proud of the way he handled everything last year. It's kind of amazing to me that he's at his dad's funeral and finds out the next day he's going to start the next week. He wasn't even traveling with us, and he handled it great. He's got to get his feet right every time. If he gets his feet in position every time, he can be a real accurate passer. He does throw the deep ball real well, and obviously he can make plays with his legs. Kyle showed that he's a great competitor. He distributed the ball real well when he was given the chance, and he knows the offense. Kyle's really picked it up. A year ago at this time, Kyle had been operated on and wasn't even in competition. So he did a good job getting better as the year went on, and found a way to win a game that we were down 13. So I respect that a lot. Tyler Ferguson had a pretty good spring. He's got the type of arm that you like. He's got a quick release. He's got to be able to be more accountable with his emotions and get on to the next play. He's high-strung, and he doesn't sometimes, when he does something wrong, not be able to put it behind him and move on, so it affects the next play. Or sometimes you do something right and you can't put it behind you and move on, and you don't concentrate like you should the next play. So that's really a great challenge for him. And then we talked about Lamar already.
Is it because the situation you were in last year with using multiple guys, you impress upon them that no matter who wins, you want to get 3, 4, you want to get them all ready because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you always do that with the backup quarterbacks. You always tell them they're one play away and hope it never happens. Hope that the other starter comes in and has a great year, throws for 4,000 yards. That breaks all the Redmond's records, or Brahms, or Stefan's, or Brownie Nagel's. You know, we haven't had that one yet, though. We haven't knelt on the 50-yard line and see if we could throw it through the upright. I don't think we'll do that one. We'll let Brownie keep that record. But, you know, that's what you do. And they honestly have to do it. You know, they have to be with them on every practice as if they're taking the rep. They're looking at the coverage. They're looking at the front. They tell you what they would do if they were in. They understand that the reps are going to be limited, but they got to be ready to play. We do practice them hard on Sunday nights. You know, we practice Sunday nights so the quarterbacks get reps to get better as the year goes on, and that's where Kyle Bolin, you know, improved. And going into the last game of the year, we said, okay, if something happens and Reggie goes down, this is what we're going to do with Kyle because of what he's shown on those Sunday night practices. And that's what we did with him. That's why the first play we ran 5 receivers out there, because he's shown that he can do that. He can make a decision and get the ball out of his hand quick instead of hand the ball off.
What is your strategy on recruiting quarterbacks in terms of how many quarterbacks you'd like to have in the program?
Yeah, I really think we're heavy right now, you know, and some of it had to do with injury, some of it had to do with the unknown. You know, obviously I would prefer to just carry, you know, 4 quarterbacks, basically, maybe a 5th.
Do you just know, is it a feel when you know it's the right guy? When do you know when you choose a guy that's a quarterback?
When they go out there and light it up. Yeah, that's when you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you really know. Like I said, we had a lot of questions about Stephon. You know, Stephon wasn't like a great route thrower. He wasn't like you didn't think, wow, look at him throw the out route. Wow, look at him throw the comeback. You know, yeah, that was a good throw. You know, okay, how's he going to do when he's getting hit? And then he was magical. You know, he can make plays and make great decisions, and you know, was magical with it. So it's a combination of everything.
There are cases where a guy comes in for a series before. Do you anticipate doing that with the different skill sets of these quarterbacks?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't say that we would do that. I do know this, though. The number one way to get good quarterback play is to get the 10 guys around him to play real well. And then you got a chance to have good quarterback play. Without the other 10 guys doing real well, you've got no chance.
Jared said in the spring that maybe one of the years at Arkansas you guys had 2 or 3 guys that ended up in the NFL in the quarterback room at the same time. Is that right? Like a couple guys that end up on NFL rosters.
Right.
I get the sense you feel like you've got a couple guys here that could end up doing things in the future if it's for you or even beyond.
Yeah, I hope so. I think we do. I think they have that ability and that type of motivation. So obviously they got a lot of work ahead of them.
How fluid is your playbook based on who's the quarterback?
There's a lot in it, you know, and it's a good size playbook. And I do believe that it's our responsibility to take the parts that fit and give that to that quarterback. You know, and I think the best year we ever had as an offense that I can remember was my second year in 2004 when Stephon played the first, third, and fourth quarters, and Brian Brom came in and played the second quarter, and they're completely different style quarterbacks. You know, Stephon was a movement guy, quick passing game. You could call quarterback runs. We probably ran read zone before people knew it was read zone, you know, and he did an unbelievable job. And then Brian would come in the second quarter, and we'd be a drop back pocket passing team, and teams had to really prepare for 2 different style offenses.
Does that evolve as the season goes along? Do you add plays, or do you just more likely discard them?
Yeah, what you do is once we get it figured out after those first 3 weeks of camp, we'll like discard some parts of the offense. But as the year goes on, we might continue to work some of it, continue to try to get better at it. One year when I was the offensive coordinator at Auburn, we had these great running backs and great big old linemen, and we could run the ball real well. And by the Iron Bowl, all the running backs were hurt. We had a true freshman running back, but we had continued to practice our 5 wide receiver package. And there were times where Coach Tubbs said, why do we keep practicing this stuff? Never call it in the game, you know? Well, in the Alabama game, it ended up being part of the package that helped us win that game. as it did this year in the Kentucky game when it, early in the year when Will was there, it was a big part of it, but we kept working it and tried to get better. So I think that's, one of the things you do is you find what Jody does real well. We keep doing that for him, but he's got to keep improving on the things that he doesn't do as well as we'd like at the time.
Was there anything about your first year in the ACC?
I'd like to see you do something well, Jody.
Was there anything about the first year in the ACC that was a revelation of any sort?
Revelation, it's
Anything
like,
that surprised you, or travel or anything like that?
no,
You've
not
just
really.
Been through it all. And
Yeah, I think that the uniqueness of the ACC is the variety. The different defensive schemes that you see, the different offensive schemes that you see. You got Georgia Tech running the true triple and being able to throw the ball. It's like you gotta spend time preparing for the variety and the difference, and do a great job of coaching on Tuesday, because it could be something completely different than what you saw the previous week.
Do you have a sense of how your offensive line is going to come together and who the players might be that kind of make up your initial
See,
line?
now there's the competition is on the offensive line. We've got 10 guys, maybe 11, that will really compete for the 5 spots. We talk about it every day of getting them in the right spots, and where do we start this guy, where do we start that guy. Pedro Sabella had a really good spring. He's really matured. He's very, very athletic. We need him to play real well for us. Kelby Johnson, who redshirted, or didn't redshirt, but backed up last year, had a good spring for us. He's having a good summer. He's getting stronger and running real well. We need him to be ready to play. We've got a couple of freshmen that are really talented. I mean, really talented. Big, athletic, can bend. Jaron Christian and Kenny Thomas, that you say, hey, let's throw them in there and see how they do. Let's line them up against Rankins early and see, are they able to really do it? Because athletically and physically, they are. But until they get in against Rankins and Pio and D'Angelo and some of the elite players, you don't really know if they can handle it or not. But, that's the real competition is the O-line.
So you expect Pedro at guard and Jaron at guard and maybe Kenny Thomas at guard? Maybe
Yeah, we kind of mix it around and see. They got to be able to play 2 positions. So Pedro's got to be able to play guard and center. Kenny's probably going to play one of the tackles, and Jaron's got to be able to play guard and tackle. Keola is going to be able to compete at one of the guard spots with Skylar Lacey, who's a big, physical, good body that you like. So there's going to be tremendous competition there, which will make each other better.
You got all 5 spots kind of open from last year?
Yeah, they'll be open. They'll be wide open.
Khalil, you can play him. Hunter, different.
Keola?
No, Khalil Hunter.
Oh, Khalil's going to play at some guard and tackle, both. Yeah.
what is your philosophy on non-conference scheduling? Is just pretty much what you want to do most years?
Yeah, we're gonna play a good non-conference schedule. I think as you look at what our goal is to play for a national championship, and I think you're gonna have to have a good non-conference schedule and go to the ACC championship game and win that to really solidify a spot in the national championship playoffs. So that's what we're going to continue to do. That's going to be our philosophy, to open with a big game most every year. I'm not sure if we got who we open with a year from now, but I know down the road we've got a game in Indianapolis, and I think we're going to announce another one coming up here soon in Orlando. So we're going to continue to try to play real good opening schedule.
Can you talk about the first game and having Sheldon and James talked a lot about yesterday about knowing that Chick-fil-A kickoff game is there, and knowing not only that it's a big game, but it's Auburn. It's the first game that's kind of kept their attention, maybe even more this offseason.
Oh yeah, I think for sure, because a lot of those kids that are on our team and that play real well for us are from Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and they're very aware of Auburn and the players Auburn have and the competition. So it motivates us. It motivates us to work hard. It motivates us to be in the weight room. Saturday mornings in the off season are optional and volunteer basis, and we have more kids than we've ever had coming in on Saturday morning, and we try to give it a fancy name, call it the Gun Club, so they can come in and work on their guns and look good. But really, they're doing more than that. So we've had great response to the. I like our team. I like our attitude. I like our work ethic. I like the leadership. I think we need to learn who are really going to be the leaders on offense. But we have great leadership from those experienced players on defense.
Do you see a difference this year, both from spring and then through summer workouts, in guys knowing, like in year number 2 of what you want from them? Do you see a difference in guys sort of knowing what to do?
Yeah, we're a step ahead of where we were last year because of the continuity, the ability to have the same coaches, the same system, the terminology. When you come in as a new staff, a lot of it's like teaching a new language, and you're always relating it back to, oh yeah, that's what Charlie called it. There's a lot of similarities in what you do, X's and O's, but the terminology is different. So we're past the relating it back to, what that was called before. It's a immediate reaction and understanding of what we're doing. So hopefully that translates into playing better.
As you've done this longer, do you continue to tinker, draw plays up, new plays that you've never used before, or are you content with your basic approach?
No, I like to, experiment. I like to have our coaches input. I like to have imagination and see how things, evolve and try to be in the front end of it. Sometimes some of the new plays, the best plays that come about, are when a player makes a mistake and runs the wrong route or does something wrong, and you go, ooh, that looks good right there now. Let's put that in. Anyone got a name? So we work hard, but we also have some fun in the meeting room on, how we're going to call things, what's new. It's always about, what are you going to call it? What's the signal? Because you have to be able to relay it into the thing. That's where Stefan was so much fun, because of the way he was raised, with his family being deaf, is he was the best guy ever for signals. He probably made up more signals than we ever had, and they always made sense. And a lot of times, if the quarterbacks make them up, then they remember them, and you don't have to go through the whole thing. They'll see one thing and they'll go, yeah, that's what it is. So they can step right in and call the play.
So do you ever name, when the guy runs the wrong route, do you name it after that guy?
I usually don't name it after the player, no. But
Is there an adjustment period when you got a defensive coordinator who you hadn't worked with before, and will it be smoother or whatever this year?
yeah, there's always an adjustment period with the new staff coming in, and the thing that you do is you try to be very organized, try to make sure everyone's on the same page on how we're handling drills, what the tempo is, make sure that player safety is the number one issue, and then make sure that you keep that all in mind. You get very competitive offense against defense in spring ball. I sometimes can't wait for spring ball to be over so we can start working for our opponent and getting ready for the opening game. But I got tremendous confidence in both Todd and Garrick. It's fun. Like I can tell you right now, when I'm not there today, they're running it and they're working and they're being productive and they're doing exactly what I want them to do. And they're both true professionals and both should be head coaches someday.
What do you like about the way Todd runs a defense, the way he attacks an offense?
Well, first, he's a great teacher. He's able to teach our players the terminology, the technique, and the scheme. And all of those are real important. And he's unique at his style in doing that. He's very demanding, and all the players have his respect. So that makes teaching easier when they understand that he's very competent and understands what he's doing. He's shown to them that he loves the game of football, he's very passionate about it, and that he loves his players. So that's what a true leader is all about, being competent, love what you do, and love your men. So I think he's a great leader.
tell you anything that the two guys, Harvey Clemens and Wiggins, said, I want to go to Louisville, I want to be back with Grant?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it speaks for itself.
Auburn's hurry up. Is there anything that you all do specifically in camp to kind of just get prepared for that? What sort of things do you do as coaches to kind of look for packages that they're bringing on and all?
Yeah, you certainly do. You worry about the or prepare for the personnel groupings, the tempo, what style they like to do. Sometimes as an offensive coach, we'll put in plays that we have no intention of ever running, but our defense needs to see them in practice. They need to know how to fit that particular run play or what to do against that particular protection and scheme. And we even took periods in spring ball and we do what we call crossover period, where our number one offense goes against our number two defense, but the two defense runs Auburn's defense. And then our number two offense runs Auburn's offense against our number one defense. And it's kind of how you practice in the NFL because you don't have scout team. So we do that in spring. We'll do it in camp a number of times. And then obviously the couple weeks that we have before the game.
Over the summer, Nick Saban gets beat by Ohio State, and then he invites Tom Herman to come in and basically tell him, how did you beat me? Do you guys in the offseason, do you sort of info share with other coaches, and then why do y'all do this? It seems like you'd be like, here's how I did it. Like,
Yeah.
What do you get out of sort of info sharing with other coaches?
Well, we try to steal stuff, try to steal new schemes, and a number of times we'll send coaches to go visit different places and coaches to do that. And, Saban's the master at when he has a job opening that he'll bring a couple guys in to interview. He has no thoughts of hiring them, but he wants to know what they're teaching at that university. What are you doing against blitz? What are you doing against this? Just to learn and gather information. So to get Herman in there was a pretty good gig.
Is there always a new play, a new scheme? Is there always something that hasn't been done before? Or
Kind of goes around, Sometimes it's forgotten, it comes back as new. But it's always something new. Yeah, there's always something a little bit new. But I think the bottom line is it does come down to blocking and tackling and utilizing technique and fundamentals. And if you're real good within the X's and O's, then you got a chance to be a special team. You got to be able to execute. Like when you talk to other coaches, and I talk to my brother a lot. He's like, yeah, we haven't been able to run that play very well, or why is it that we can't protect this certain play? And some of it comes down to who you're asking to protect it. So there's always, you have to be able to do what your players can do.
Asking other coaches why your offenses are so effective, they kept saying the same phrase, you attack a defense. What do you think that means?
Well, I'm not really sure, but I do like to work personnel and put our players in a position where we can be successful, and try to dictate to the defense, not let them dictate to us. So when we were the best, we were able to change formations, motions, flips, and put pressure on the defense to get lined up, and us being able to operate at a fast tempo. So and not no huddle. It was more of a get in out of the huddle, flip your tight end, motion this, motion that. And that's some of the things that when you talk about different quarterbacks, it's who can do that and who can't do that. Because you have to be able to get to the line of scrimmage, or you have to go no huddle. So we have to find out what our identity is going to be right now offensively. What part of the offense and what part of the tradition are we going to be good at?
You clearly have not been inclined to go with the real no-huddle, hurry-up, Oregon type of offense. Would you give thought to that again? Right? People said something you like?
Yeah, we've utilized it. When you look back on that Kentucky game, we were down 13. We went no huddle then, but it was more of a 2-minute style, and we did put a lot of pressure on them. They weren't, we were just watching it the other day, and they weren't lined up a number of times when we were snapping the ball, and we were successful with some plays because of it. So it's just it's part of our offense, but we don't just live with it all the time.
4 running backs with 100-yard games last year, and Brandon's obviously the guy this year going in. But you've got other guys. I mean, you got to be really happy with the depth. Go through the running back position.
Yeah, I think LJ is a really good football player. He does what we coach him to do. He can play both tailback and fullback. He catches the ball. He's a good pass protector. So I have all the confidence in the world in him. Jeremy Smith did a really nice job in the spring. He showed power. He's got good vision. He was able to make long runs, which is something I didn't know he could do, but he has the speed to do that. So I think we got to give him some opportunities to carry the ball and with the ones, because he didn't take as many reps with the ones as the other guys did.
He was kind of a late guy and kind of a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, a little bit. He was somebody that, he qualified late out of high school, went to the junior college, and only was there for 1 semester, which is a huge bonus because he really comes into our sophomore class. So that's a good thing.
Brandon's built to be a guy that can carry it a lot of times.
Yeah, but you need more than one running back, and you always, the running backs, the linebackers, and the safeties are the ones that take all the collisions, and they get nicked up and they're not full speed, then the guy behind them has to be. And you have to have enough confidence. When we were real good, we had Shelton, Colby Smith, Michael Bush, who am I missing? Lionel Gates. We had a good stable of running backs that didn't miss a beat.
Brandon Ratcliffe seems like the type of guy that is like the ultimate closer when you talk about run the win in the fourth quarter. Can you start him and have him carry the load in the first half and then expect him to be able to close like you want in the fourth quarter?
That's yet to be seen. It's just how many carries can he go, and I like him. I think he's a really good player, and he's tough, and he's very coachable, and he shows everyone around him how hard he's going to work at practice, so he makes everybody better.
What's the status of some of the players that aren't here yet, like James Allen, Chandler Jones, Devontae Fields?
Yeah, that's an ongoing process that we got 2 more weeks left, and you find something new every day. So,
what hurdles are kind of in the way of them at the moment?
Yeah, just getting certified that they're ready to come to campus.
Are any of those guys definitely not going to make it at all?
I don't know that yet.
This Fields situation now, can you kind of just update what the situation? It's just academics, or is it? The legal case is okay?
Yeah, the legal case has been cleared and everything dropped, but we're just waiting for certification.
From the NCAA?
Well, some of it's from that, and some of it's from the university tells us they're good to go. Bring them to campus.
Gotcha.
Is he taking?
You know?
Is he in summer class?
He is, yeah.
Right now, so he's still trying to finish it.
Right. Yeah.
With Reeve and maybe Corbin, you talked about Will being okay, but with Reeve and Corbin, the other guys who were injured,
they've been full speed, so they've been participating in all the summer workouts now starting in July. They were limited in June on what they did, change of direction, but they've been cleared to do everything, change of direction and going. And they're guys that we got to do a good job taking care of in camp. So we practice twice a day. They'll only practice once. It's hard because it's their second knee operation and injury, and you're always nervous how they'll react to it.
Do you kind of not know what to expect from guys like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Explain again what it is you can do as a coach with your players during the summer and during which period?
Yeah, in the old days we couldn't do anything. You couldn't go into the weight room. You couldn't watch them lift. You couldn't watch them condition and change direction. So we can go into the weight room anytime, and they're held to the same rules that we have, like in the winter time, where you get 8 hours a week, and it's in between lifting weights, conditioning, quickness drills, and then they can have 2 hours of those can actually be in the classroom watching video. So that's the rules in the summertime, which have been really good. We take the time in June and do that, and the coaches go on a 2-3 week vacation, and then we came back, and now we're back at it again. So it helps, and it really helps the freshmen, because the freshmen are able now to learn and get ready for practice in August.
It really, in the old days, you came for practice in August and kind of started from scratch. Now you kind of come in with a little steam.
Yeah, I mean, even when you look back at like Michael Bush and Brian Brom and those guys, they didn't even come to summer school. You know, they showed up. But the rules then is a lot of times you could bring the freshmen in for 3 days, so at least you could love them up for 3 days before the vets got there. You know, so it is I like the rule. I like the fact that freshmen come in and go to summer school and you can pay for it. Last year, I think we had 18 of our seniors that graduated in December, and 4 more had graduated before the season even started. And a lot of that's due to summer school and what they're able to do in summer school.
So how much will that put those guys behind who haven't made it yet if they didn't get in the summer early?
Yeah, they have to make it up, you know, like we have a May semester. They'll have to probably go to summer school in May and June. The rule is you have to take at least 3 hours each term, 6 hours total for June and July. We have some guys that take 9. We have a couple guys taking 12 that need to get what they need to graduate. So you just have to make it up on the back end.
How about football-wise, like for a guy like Fields?
It's hard. Yeah, it's real hard. You know, Pio did it last year and did a real good job of it. You know, he didn't come in until I think the 1st of August, but he had an advantage in the fact that their defensive scheme was Todd. Their defense coordinator had went to Georgia and were running the same scheme that we run because of his visit with Todd and that. So Pio was familiar with the terminology and everything. James Sample did it. You know, he took classes all through the summer last year, and then he came in. But again, he had been exposed to how to learn and do everything at the University of Washington, and he was very mature about it. You know, he was kind of on a mission that I'm going to learn this information, and that's what I'm focused on. There was no, you know, deterring him from day one. You kind of saw a little bit different from him as far as his focus and concentration.
When you talk about what's new in football, what do you see that you haven't seen previously or that captures your imagination? Something you tinker with maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not as new as it used to be, but people are still really working hard on the tempo part of it, going as fast as they can. The thing that's been new the last couple years is the combination of calling run plays with the ability to throw the ball. Some of it is just throwing those little dinky screens out there, but some of it now is throwing routes down the field with called runs. They tried to do away with that. They put in a rule early that you had to be engaged 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, but then they pulled back on it. I thought Nick got it done. I thought he got it done. You know, he's been complaining about it all the time, but now they gave him 3 yards still. And really the emphasis is, are the officials going to call it or are they not going to call it? Because there's a number of times when a lineman's downfield and the quarterback's still throwing the ball on a run play. They just have to tell us what they're going to call, how they're going to call it, and whether they're going to enforce it or not enforce it.
What are you experimenting on that you haven't unleashed?
I'm telling you.
Well, just in terms of broad strokes, not a specific play. I mean, is there an area that
you know,
new frontier?
The time to experiment is kind of in the spring. Right. And you know, we did a number of things with tempo, and like I said, some of the things we do are just for the defense too. We have no plans on doing them unless they look good. You know, and if it's a bad idea, then yeah, we were just doing that for the defense. You know, we had no intention to ever put that in. You know, but yeah, I mean, it's always evolving a little bit, and it's always changing a little bit. One of the areas I always try to do a good job on is play action pass. I think that's where you get your chunk plays. So we're always working on new protection schemes to throw the ball deep, because that's, I think, the number one thing you got to be able to do.
Did you always talk about self-evaluation? Did you do that in the spring or in the summer? And how, looking back, were you guys past the run? Like, how were you happy with what you?
No, we're not. We weren't where we needed to be. So we got a lot of work to do there. You know, you have to not only be close to 50-50 on first down, but you look at the efficiency. You know, and we weren't efficient enough running the ball on first down, and we weren't efficient enough on the yards we got per pass attempt. So that means we weren't getting what I call chunk plays. And that's really what was lacking from our offense, was we didn't have the same chunk plays, the huge runs or huge throws for touchdowns that we normally have. And we've got to either get better at being one-on-one and making somebody miss, running the ball. We got to be better blocking with our receivers. You know, there was a couple opportunities where it looked like we were going to have a big play and the receiver didn't get his block or do what he was supposed to do. So it's all 11 guys getting better.
I don't know if you broke it down. Were you better when you got Devontae the second half of the season?
Oh, yeah. That made life easier. Sure. We're a lot better against the blitz, I can tell you that.
What are your thoughts on NFL draft evaluations coming back, like during bowl season? And do you wish that they move it back, until after the national championship game?
You know, until somebody told me that Nick was complaining about it, I never thought about it at all.
Right.
And I still haven't.
Still haven't?
No.
So you don't think it makes any difference?
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you don't have to worry about certain things. That's one I choose not to worry about.
For having so many guys, losing so many guys on defense, you still have a lot of experience back, it seems like.
Right, yeah.
I mean, obviously a lot of players. Just talk about the defense and people talking about, well, it could be as good as it was last year when you lost so many guys.
Yeah, I think we should be as good. There's a lot of pressure on Todd. It's all up to him. But no, we're strong on defense. When you look at P.O., Sheldon Rankins, D'Angelo Brown inside, and Burgess and Kelsey back, now you say, okay, we need to get some edge rushing, and Keith Brown did a real nice job out there in the spring. He's very quick, very fast. I like Trayvon Young. He's long, he's extremely fast and quick. He needs to be a better learner. He didn't pick things up as quick as like a Sample and a P.O. did last year. That's he hadn't been exposed to that volume of defense before, but I think talent-wise, he can really help us rush on the edge. And Isaac Stewart's going to be a good inside linebacker for us. Stacey Thomas is a great cover guy. We're strong on the front seven. And then on the back end with Josh and Shaq, Jair Alexander, a true freshman, is going to be a great corner before it's over with. It's just how soon is he going to get it all going. We moved Sturgill from receiver to corner. I think he's very, very talented, very, very fast, be a good player. Chucky Williams did a great job at safety for us in the spring. He's feeling better about himself because he's getting bigger and stronger, and he's a good tackler. He plays the ball well in the air, so hopefully he'll be able to read routes and provide some interceptions for us.
You mentioned D'Angelo. Sheldon said yesterday that he's kind of the BJ of this year, where nobody thinks about him as one of your better players, but D'Angelo might be your best.
D'Angelo's a really good player. He allows Kelsey and Burgess to make a lot of plays, because he's real smart. He understands what his job is. He's big and physical. He's probably our strongest guy on defense. Him and Ewell kind of compete for the strongest guy on the team, but and he's a really good player. He just does a good, consistent job for us.
Is there any discussion about the last time Grantham, Wiggins, and Harvey Clements played Auburn and them getting beat on that Hail Mary? And do you all ever razz them about that, or do you talk about it at all?
Not really.
Not really?
No. We do some situation stuff where, to be the last play of the game. I always am haunted by Georgia because I felt like we had them beat one year when I was at Auburn. It was 4th and 19 on the 36-yard line. One play, we win the game. They threw a ball and the corner fell down and the guy caught it and beat us. So that'll be one of our situations, and I might have to pull out the other one from that Auburn game and make sure we practice that exact situation. But they had a guy in the post, they had a guy there, and they ran into each other. So sometimes it is just luck.
Right. So you had a handful of plays last year that if they go differently, you could easily say that you're 12-0. I mean, this type of
We
plays
probably had a
lucky.
handful in a couple other games that if
Sure.
they went differently, we would have lost a couple other games too. So it balances a little bit.
Do you all focus on those type of plays to say, okay,
You focus on situations. You focus on the situation. So like the end of the game being on the 2-yard line, we're going to focus on that. We're going to do a better job, get the ball in the end zone, which we did the next week in the first half.
right.
But it was a week late. That's my fault.
You feel like with the recruiting class you have as freshmen, the new guys, who can help you, and obviously give them all an opportunity to see if they can compete. I mean, do you foresee any of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm real excited about the class because I think that we have some really, really good players in it. Offensive line-wise, we got the size and strength that you need. You had Hicatini, who came in at mid-year as a tight end that can run and catch and block. He's a real good player for us. The young receivers got size and speed with Devontae Pete and Monty Spence and Jalen Smith. Those are big guys that can run and catch, and they're competitive. So I like them a lot. On defense, I think they have maybe a little harder time getting on the field early, but Jair coming in at mid-year at corner will really help us. I'm trying to think who else. Oh, Gigi Robinson on the defensive front. He's going to need to play for us and do a good job for us because of depth. We'll need him to be productive and get in there.
With all the draft picks you lost, all the quality players you lost, is there one position that kind of keeps you up at night wondering if this is going to be an area that's going to give you trouble this year or not? Or
I mean, the area that we need to really bring along is the offensive front. You lost Jamon Brown and John Miller, and they did a great job for us, not only in playing the position, but helping the other guys out because they are very experienced. So, but I do like the competition we're going to have. We're going to have 10, maybe 11 guys compete for this 5 spots. So we'll get a lot better at it there. And then, we get to get good quarterback play.
You're designing plays now. You do it on pads and iPads, hand.
On how we design the plays?
Just when you get an idea, where does it
Yeah.
start? Piece of paper or?
Yeah, a lot of times it starts on I do keep a piece of paper and pen next to my bed.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's when you wake up in the middle of the night, hey, I better draw this up so I don't forget it. You always keep one close by the TV. Just the other night, my son was watching a game from last year, and I said, run that back. And he ran it back, and then I said, okay, draw it up. And he drew that up because it was a 3rd and 18 completion. It was a well-designed play. They made a great play on a 3rd and 18 to get a first
play
down.
Against you?
No, it was 2 other teams playing
okay.
on TV. So, and then like I said, sometimes it's done by when players make mistakes that it's like, man, that's a good-looking thing there. We got to put that in. And then we call it research. That's one of the things that is different now. Is we get every NFL game. It comes across what do they call that thing? I can't remember what they call it.
NFL
Some
Network?
line. No, it comes across the line. We get all the coaches
Mm-hmm.
video of end zone and sideline. So we make cut-ups of the best NFL teams, run game, play action, drop back pass, quick game. And then in the off season I assign, okay, you got these 2 games, you got these 3 teams, you got these 2 teams, and then we make a notebook. And before we do our spring playbook, we went through all of that and see what things we think we like and what fits. So you're trying to steal, but you call it research.
When was the last time you saw something you had not seen before?
Every year.
Really?
Yeah, every year. When you do it that way, you see something new every year. So it's, whether it's just a protection part of it or a certain route or, how they utilize the running back, you know, there's always something new.
Back to the offensive line, as much as you like to have a bunch of receivers and running backs and quarterbacks, you often hear offensive line you need to have the same 5 guys. Do you believe that? Do you like that way?
I mean, it's good if you can have all 5 and they're all good and they all play together, you know, and you're very strong. Sometimes you've done it where we've had 1 or 2 positions where they split reps, you know, so maybe I'm better if I'm only playing half the game and I'm fresh and I'm strong, and then, you know, and the younger guy's better if he's not playing the entire game. So there's been sometimes on offensive linemen where 3 guys take all the reps and 2 guys rotate in, or 4 guys take all the reps and 1 guy rotates in. But certainly one of the strengths when I was here before was Eric Wood, Spitz, LaFew, Quarterman, Renardo. Those 5 guys playing together. Yeah, you know, that made us pretty good. He's working at center, yeah. So he'll be in there competing. He will be, yeah. You know, he's got he wasn't at spring ball, so he's got a little bigger challenge.
Are you expecting the offense as a whole to take a step forward this year, or is it hard to tell because of the offensive line losses and the uncertainty quarterback?
Yeah, we expect to, and we need to. You know, for us to be the type of football team we want to be, we need to be better on offense. No question.
No matter how much the changes, how often do you find yourself going back to like those principles that your dad taught us, all that option stuff, just how the principles of the game?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it, you know, and we probably went back to some of that philosophy last year is, you know, when you're a power team and you got the best players, you can overpower people, then that's what you do. If you're not that, then you have to read people and find different ways to move the ball and try to isolate a defender and give the quarterback a decision off of one guy. So, and that's really what the option is, you know, trying to make one guy make a decision and then you being able to play off of what he does. And some of the stuff we did last year, like in the Wake Forest game and when Reggie was early, was based off of those philosophies instead of overpowering people.
Is Epps a guy that you know is solid, is good? I mean, is he locked in?
Epps came in last year in the last part of the year and helped us be better. You know, he did a nice job of leadership. He did a nice job of playing hard. He understands the scheme. He should be one of our guys. We need to have somebody behind him pushing him. Somebody that's trying to take his job so that he doesn't get comfortable and plays and excels.
Could he be is he a pro?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody that we have coming back, you know, has an opportunity to have a profession after football. It's hard though. There's a lot of competition, but they all believe they can, and you know, we're going to give them every opportunity.
You guys have a lot of depth at linebacker, so much keys outside. What kind of benefit are you going to get from that?
He's a good pass rusher, you know, and he's smart and, you know, a good football player, and it gives us some flexibility with our scheme because he can play either position. So I'm looking forward to him. He started off spring and did a really good job, and then he had to go get a sports hernia fixed and missed the last part of spring ball. And that, you know, set him back a little bit as far as what we got to learn about him, you know, because the year before he wasn't in spring ball. So when he came to fall, he was immediately behind, you know, Burgess and Kelsey. And in his own mind, he felt like because of how he played before that he should have been in the competition. But we didn't know enough about him. So we got the little taste in spring. And I think we've got good video on him, so we got an idea of what he really can do.
Burgess was really confident, I guess, Keith or myself, the Bash brothers.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be the best tandem in the country. Do you see that coming from them?
They're good. Yeah. They're a good team. I don't know anything about the brothers part of it, but you know, it's always good. It's always good when the positions name themselves and take pride in it. You know, something I like and encourage. So they got to live up to it. So.
What was your best
I always was very fond of our D linemen when I was here before, because they like to play hard and style a little bit. They called themselves the G unit. Why? I don't know. What it meant? I have no idea. But I liked the way they played. They were good.
Overall, though, you
Might have to ask Elvis that one. I don't know why they called
you
it
have a
that.
lot of depth at linebacker. You
We do,
mentioned Isaac
yeah.
and other guys. I mean, some younger
Yeah,
guys.
that's good. You know what? That's good about that is it helps us on special teams. We should be stronger on kickoff cover. We should be stronger on our punt team. When you get good linebackers and a good group of receivers and some depth at running back, it always really helps you on your special teams.
Speaking of special teams, talk about Wallace for a second, having him, and then what about the punt duties?
Yeah, Wallace did a real nice job for us last year. He was consistent, he was reliable, a couple stumbles, but then he responded well. I think that's the thing I liked about him is how he responded, and we've got confidence in him. Appleby should be our punter. He's a very strong leg. When he gets consistent with his drop, he could be as good as we've had. And he's taken a lot of pride in that. He's worked extremely hard. He's thinned up a little bit, so he's more flexible. So he should do a good job for us.
You see a guy like Stacey Thomas making so many plays on special teams. Do you take a look at maybe trying to get him on the field more? I mean, I know that position's stacked, but do you look at him?
Yeah, he has opportunity to get on the field. It just really comes down to how much we're going to rotate at that position. But we've got a lot of confidence in him. James had thumb surgery, so he was not live at all in spring, and Stacey was in there playing great. So he's a good football player.
What is it that you feel like from your preparation or whatever that you've been able to win every opener that you've
I don't know. I hope we keep doing it, though. I don't know. We just try to work hard on preparing our players, and I think they relish playing a big game, and being in a big opener. And this will be a good one for us. This will be a huge challenge, and it's at a neutral site, which is new for us. It's the indoor, which will be new for us, so it should be a lot of fun.
You've sold 27,000 some odd tickets. I know that doesn't surprise you at this point, but talk about the fan support you've gotten since you returned and all of last year.
Yeah, it's awesome. And everyone I run into in the summer always says, I got my tickets, I'll see you in Atlanta. So that's kind of fun. The last time they did that was last summer for the Notre Dame game, which I knew we would travel well up there because of the all the Catholics in Louisville and Paul Horning and how everyone relates to Notre Dame and Louisville because of that. But I think it's huge for us to have a great crowd down in Atlanta because, I coached at Auburn. We always considered Atlanta part of our home state in recruiting. So they're going to have a good crowd. It'll be exciting.
After spending a year in the ACC, how much do you think the talent difference between what you've seen in the SEC in your career and
I think it's very comparable. It's very comparable, and we always felt like in the SEC they had the great D linemen, the great pass rushers, and that was kind of what separated the league. But we've got some great D linemen and great pass rushers in the ACC, and obviously, coming off of a Florida State winning a national championship a couple of years ago, and winning the Orange Bowl this year at Georgia Tech, and it's a great conference. It's very competitive.
Do you play up that ACC-SEC thing with your guys when you've got a game like this to open the season?
Not really.
No.
We just play football.
You mentioned the guys running the wrong way and finding their way in the playbook. How often does that really happen?
More than you would think.
Really?
Yeah, it really does. I would have to say probably 3, 4, 5 times a year maybe, where you're trying to design a play and one guy busts, and and we talk about it all the time. We say that, that's how good plays are designed, and it's happened when I was in the NFL. It happened when I was with the Jaguars. It happened probably everywhere I've been, that when somebody busts, it's, ooh, that looks pretty good. And it might be instead of a guy running a crossing route, he runs a post route. Or it's not always drastic, but it makes a difference.
Because of how the defense reacts?
Yeah, how it reacts or occupies somebody, and then you can take advantage of it. So, yeah, it does happen quite a bit. Not much in the running game.
No.
You know, that doesn't go well to go the wrong way in a run play. Somebody gets killed.
Do you remember an instance where one of those plays turned into something big, a touchdown?
Let me
game
think
winner?
about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure we can pull one up for sure.
All right.
Yep.
One of the famous ones is before the Cincinnati game, we won 70-70. Told the running back, I forget it was Shelton, he was going to score on that play. What is it about that particular play that you saw on Cincinnati's defense that you were able to say confidently that you could score on the first play of the game?
Well, they had a habit of doing something. We look at like the whole first series of plays and chart the defenses and try to get off to a quick start. And we really said that if they're in this certain look, we're going to score a touchdown. It wasn't like we're scoring a touchdown. We said if they're in this look, we're going to score a touchdown. So we flipped the tight end, we sent the motion, they gave us the exact look that we said we're going to score a touchdown, and our players blocked it up, and Eric hit it, didn't get caught from behind. You know, he's amazing because he was always this big physical runner, but he never got caught from behind. You know, he had the speed to go the distance.
When you see a snap like that, do you get just real excited on the sideline, or do you get nervous?
I'm just thinking what I'm going to call next.
Okay.
And I'm usually negative. You know, I'm usually going, okay, we're going to run the ball here, so I better get a good 2nd and 10 call ready. You know, 2nd and 8. So I'm not like, okay, we're going to kick their butt. It's going to be 2nd and 1, because that's easy call.
When it works, though,
You know.
Oh
yeah, it's good. Sure, you bet. It was really good for Paul, you know, for my brother, because he's the one that sold it to him.
Okay.
The bell sound?
That's it.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.